Hello and welcome to Youth Code Jam's online bits and bytes lessons. Today we are finishing up our current series of Microsoft's MakeCode microbit editor. We're going to be making a rather advanced program today. It's going to be a game where your player chases a dot around our virtual LED screen. It's going to be pretty fun. If you're able to download it to the physical microbit, it might be a little bit more fun to work with, but I think you guys will not only learn a lot coding this up, but also have fun playing with it when we're all done. So let's go ahead and get started. In your browser, so open a browser. We like to use Chrome. Most online applications are optimized to work in Chrome, or Firefox is the other one. Safari and Microsoft Internet Explorer, Internet Edge don't always work so well. But anyways, and by work so well, I mean a lot of applications just aren't optimized to work with it. Developers have chosen to kind of sideline those. Anyways, open a new tab or a new window and head to makecode.microbit.org. And that's going to take you to this home screen here. You can see a bunch of projects I've done in the past, and some of these for recordings. If you have some here, great. You don't need to worry about them right now. Just click on the new project button and name your code. So I'm going to name this one .chaser, maybe. Yes, .chaser, and press create. Right, and so quick overview on the left here is our simulator. I'm actually going to press the square here to stop it from running while we're coding. In the middle are our code block drawers, so different blocks under each one. There's an advanced tab down here if we really want to add some stuff to it. I think we'll pull a couple from here today. And then you can see under input there's a more section, so you'll see so many at the top level, and then you can dig deeper for more blocks. You can also search for block names at the top of the page, so I could search for show, and here are all the different blocks that are show blocks. Alright, so I'm going to start by kind of moving my forever block over here in my code. And before we start adding blocks to these, we're going to create some variables. So head to the variable drawer and click the make a variable button. The very first variable we're going to make is our score variable, because it is a game and we're going to keep track of our points. And press OK. And we're going to make 4 more variables, and they are _x. So if you don't know how to make the underscore, you hold down the shift key on your keyboard and then hit the dash key at the top of your keyboard. So the dash is between the 0 and the plus and equal sign key. So it's up there on your keyboard. So hold down shift and then hit that dash key and you'll get the underscore. So that first one is .x. So that's going to be the x position for our stationary dot. And then we're going to get the y position, so we need ._y. And then we need both the x and y positions for our player. So make a variable and name it player_x. And then the last one is player_y. And if I moved a little fast for you, you can go ahead and pause the video so that you can see the screen here. And get all those variable names added to your code. All right, so with our variables in place, we're going to set up our program. And the very first thing we're going to do is add a timer to make our game fun. We don't want it to last forever, so the game will end when time is up. So click the Advanced tab. You're going to see it expand, and go to the Game drawer. And we're going to get the one that says Start Countdown Milliseconds. So I think that's a way down. So Start Countdown Milliseconds. It's set to 10,000 milliseconds to start. Place that inside our onStart block. Then change the first 0 after the 1 to a 5. So you want it to be 15,000 milliseconds. Alright, so with that ready to go, the next thing we need to do is set starting values for all of our variables. So go back to the variables drawer, and we're going to add 5 of these set variable name to 0 blocks. So if your last variable you added in is player underscore y, that will be the same one for me, but really whatever is here doesn't matter right now. So just grab 5 of these set blocks and add them to the code. If you want, you can duplicate by right-clicking on the block, just adding it there. It saves maybe a few seconds, but coding is all about being efficient, so sometimes that can help. All right, so we have all of these and they all say player underscore y. We want them all to be different, so starting at our first set block, I'm going to change player y by clicking the drop down and selecting score. The second one I'm going to set to .x, the third to .y, and the fourth to player x. And now I'm going to go back and add those values. So again, at any point, if you need to pause something to catch up to what I'm doing, just pause the video. You'll be okay. All right, so everything's going to be 0 except for our .x and .y. We're going to set both of those values to 2 so that they will appear kind of up here, I think, right about here maybe, on the screen when we first start the game. So we have them set to certain values. We actually need those to show on the screen. So go to the LED drawer, and you're going to grab this box here, or this block that says plot x0, y0, and add it to our onStart block. And then go to the variables drawer, and you're going to grab first this ._x and place it in the 0 after x, and then back in the variables drawer ._y and place it in y. So we're using, kind of like I said at the beginning, we're using the ._ for our x for our x coordinates, our x position on the screen, and then our .y for our y position or y coordinates on the screen. Okay, so this is what we're going to do for our setup right now. We're going to be done with this onStart block. Now we're going to move on to this forever block. And we're going to go to the logic drawer and get an if-then block, add it inside the forever block. And you may want to watch and see what I do here before you start doing it. We're going to add a few more, we're going to make this an else-if block by clicking this plus sign. And I want 3 else-if statements. So I'm going to click this one. That gives me 1. I had to do 2 clicks. That gives me 2. So to get each of these, here, let's start over. So I need to click this twice to get 1 else if statement. So 1, 2, that gives me 1 else if. 3. All right, so I have 3 else if statements. I don't need this last else, so I'm going to click the minus sign after it. And that's going to give me the conditions for what to do. We're going to be checking where our dot is on the screen and what movement we're using. So we're going to tell it where to go and and the movement we're attaching to that. So for our first condition, go back to the logic drawer and get an and operator or and Boolean block here. Just kind of place it over here in the gray space for now, and then get a less than block, a less than comparison block. So under comparison, you're going to see 0 less than 0. And I'm just going to place it over here for now. For this and block, I'm going to take that and place it over the true. So it should read if blank and blank then. And I'm going to take that less than block we added and put it on the right side of the and block. So what we're going to do is be checking for the movement on the left and then the coordinates on the right here. So to check this first one, we're going to do, we're going to have it check if we need to move right. So go to the input drawer, and we're going to get the block that reads is, so right now it says is shake gesture. So grab that block and place it in our first blank on the left side of the and use the drop down to change shake to tilt right. So if we're tilting it right, and we're going to check our player X position. So go to the variable drawer and grab the player X block. Place this is very important, this player X needs to go on the left side of our less than operator. And we're going to change 0 to 4. So what this is it's checking if we're tilting our device, our microbit, to the right, and if the player X is positioned is less than 4. So over here, this is again kind of the different numbering system. So if you can see on my screen that little pop-up box under my cursor, it says 0, 4. We're in the X position of 0 and the Y position of 4. So 4 on the X coordinate plane is going to be over here in this corner. And then we're going to come back. So if we're over here, if X is over here, then we're going to only be able to move to the left. We're not going to be able to move further to the right. So inside of there, go to the LED box and get the toggle block. And then toggle X and Y, and then we are going to move the player's position. So go to variables and get player X to put in the X blank, and player Y to put in the Y blank. Last, for this part, go to change, get the change player Y or whatever here, change variable by 1, and place it under that toggle block. Use the drop down to change player Y by player X. Okay, so I messed up before. So if we're less than 4, we can move to the right. If we are already at 4, then we can't move any further. So that's all of our movement for the right one. Next, we're going to do up. And the next 3 conditions are all very similar to this one. We're just making minor changes. So we're going to do some copying and pasting here. The first thing I'm going to do is copy our whole conditional statement up here. So everything in that AND block. And if you can see on my screen, the cursor is hovering kind of between the AND drop down and my comparison block there. And you can see it's highlighted white. Take your cursor and do the same, kind of place it on the block so that it gets highlighted white, and click duplicate. And you're going to see that whole block is now grayed out and kind of just floating in our space. Carefully take that and add it to the next if-then block. You're going to, in our motion detection here, we're going to change tilt right to logo up. And because we're moving our player up, we're going to change player X to player Y. And we're going to leave that as less than 4. So 4 is at the bottom, remember. So it's a little different. Left to right makes sense. It's 0 to 4. On this, from up moves this way towards the top. Okay. And then again, we're going to use these same 2 blocks from inside of our first loop. So I'm just going to duplicate those and add them to our second if statement. And the changes I'm going to make here are just to the change block. So this time we're changing player Y by 1. Okay, so now we're going to do more copying and pasting for these last 2. So I'm going to copy the tilt right block up here. So this whole AND statement, I'm going to duplicate that and put it in my third if condition or second else if, whatever you want to view that as. This time we're moving left. So I'm going to do tilt to the left and player X. And this time we need to move left if player X is greater than 0. So use that drop down and change less than to greater than. So the open part of that symbol is now facing our variable, and change 4 to 0. Okay, then I'm still going to copy from up here because everything's more, moving left is very similar to moving right. So I need that toggle block again, and I'm going to get the change player X, And this time, instead of changing the variable name, I'm going to change the value by which we move, and we're going to move -1, because that moves us, negatives move us to the left, positives move us to the right on the x-axis. And then the last part of this statement is going to be moving down. So grab this, I'm going to use the condition we made for up. So that's the second if condition here. And instead of logo up, I want it set to logo down. Player Y stays the same. Again, we're going to do what we did for moving left. We're going to change less than to greater than and 4 to 0. And then once again, copy the toggle block and the values inside of it. And then copy change player Y by 1. And we're going to change 1 to -1 because moving down needs a negative and moving up needs a positive. All right, we're about halfway through. This is a little bit of a longer one. If at any point you need to pause again, just go ahead and do that, or rewind, because I'm going pretty fast here. This is advanced activities and it is repetitive, so I'm not going to go back and show everything, especially for this kind of a structure when we can just save time and copy and paste. Go to the basics drawer and we need to get a pause block. So pause MS, it's set to 100. We're going to change it to 150, and since that's not a preloaded value, you're going to type it in. Then we're going to go to the logic drawer. Oh no. Sorry, still in basics. Go back to the basics drawer and get a second forever loop and add that to our code. I'm just going to add it down here. Then go to the logic drawer and get another, get this if true then else block to save some time. And we just want to add one more else if in here. So we want it to read if then else if and then else. So hit that plus sign once. All right, and this is going to be this is going to help us keep score and move the dot around the screen. So we need to do another kind of complicated AND statement. So go to the logic drawer and get an AND Boolean block, place it over the true. Go back to the logic drawer and we need 2 of the 0 equals 0 blocks. Okay. You're going to place 1 on either side of the AND. So what this is going to do is tell us if our player has caught the dot. So if the player X and dot X positions are the same and the player Y and dot Y positions are the same, then we get to get a point and it will move the dot to a different spot. So we'll actually turn the dot off and then we'll do some code to move it. So go to the variables drawer and you're going to get, how did we do this first? So player X, place it on the first 0, and then dot X, place it on the second, and then in this AND statement we're going to compare the Y position, so player Y and dot Y. So what this says is if the player X position is equal to or the same as the dot X position and player Y position is equal to dot Y position, then we're going to turn the dot off and increase our score. We're going to add that code next. So in AND statements, both conditions must be true. So just like up here, if the logo is being forced down or tilted down and player Y is greater than 0, then you can move down. So both those conditions have to be true for the execution statements in here to run. So go to the toggle drawer or the LED drawer and get the toggle XY block. And I'm just going to copy, can I do this? Yeah. I'm going to duplicate the dot X block from my condition and place it on the X and then do the same for Y. And the reason I'm duplicating is it's faster to duplicate than to go back into the drawers. And the last thing I'm going to do here is go to the variables drawer and get a change variable by 1 block. And the variable is going to be score, because we're going to increase our score by 1. Okay, and like I said, we're also going to put our dot in a random position. So we need to reset our value. So we need to go back to the variables drawer and get 2 of these set blocks. Set 1 to dot x and 1 to dot y. Then go to the math drawer and get 2 pick random 0 to 10 blocks. So 2 pick random 0 to 10 blocks. Place one of each of those pick random blocks over the zeros of our set block. And then change the 10 to 4 for both of those. Finally, you can come back up to our toggle x.x and y.y block and duplicate that and place the copy at the bottom. So what happens here is that this toggle block turns off the LED light for our dot. We increase our score, we choose a new position for the dot, and then we have that dot light up here. Okay, now we're going to set the condition for if our game is over. It's very simple. Just head back to the game drawer. So that should be, if your advanced is closed, click advanced and then go to game. And you're going to look for the diamond shaped block that says is game over. So right here is game over. And place that in the empty diamond between our if and then. Then go back to the game drawer and get that block that says game over right here. So it's going to display the game over message. And then in our final block, we're going to plot our player value. So go back to the LED drawer. So we're going to plot our player position here. Grab plot XY. And then from variables, you're going to do player X in the X blank and player Y in the Y blank. Okay, so playing this game can be a little difficult, but we're going to demonstrate it. So I'm going to press play, and the timer starts as soon as this thing loads. So you can see my dot moving. It's really hard to do precise movements, at least it is for me. But you can see as I take my cursor and tilt around the screen, I can move it, but I'm not good at catching it. So my time is up and I'm going to have a score of 0. So that's kind of the hardest part about using the simulator, is getting your dot to move around slowly. But it can be pretty fun if you get the hang of it, and I'm not too good at video games anyways, and this is just another video game. So kids who have more patience are going to be better at this than I am. But you can see it's going to say game over and it will show my score. So that's the end of this series. If you guys would like to join a live series, you can go to our website at youthcodejam.org. At least this is how things are operating for spring 2021. Under Find Programs, go to Bits and Bytes. And if things change, we'll have notices on this page about how to attend live sessions and when live sessions are occurring. So at the very top, you can choose register for the next live session. These are all free, by the way. They're hosted by our partners at Palo Alto, and you register through them. They'll have individual series listed, and our series are 2 weeks long. So then one after MakeCode Microbit is we're going to be doing a digital literacy series, and our focus is going to be digital teamwork. So you can register for each series individually, or you can register for all series for 2021 together. And again, it's free. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of kids that have been coming for a long time, so I think they really enjoy it. But again, if anything changes, it will be reflected on our main Bits and Bytes page on our website. And towards the bottom, you'll have, each month we keep the lessons, any video lessons that might be helpful to students who can't make the lessons or materials will be posted on this page as well, along with links to all of our previous activities. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and have a great day.